Hello and welcome to GameSack. This time we've got some sort of retro review challenge, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, for a lack of better words.
Yeah, basically, as longtime viewers know, Dave here is the Nintendo fanboy, and I am the Sega fanboy. So what we thought we'd do is I would give him 5 16-bit Sega games for him to review with his unbiased opinion.
That's right. And then, in turn, I would give you 5 Super Nintendo games to review with your unbiased opinion. And of course, the games that we've chosen have no rhyme or reason to them. They're just completely random games.
Oh, I think there's some rhyme or reason on the games you gave me. I think you're trying to punish me on a couple of them there.
Well, the feeling's mutual, right?
Okay. Anyway, you've got the first one. And this is going to be Chakan. And I know it doesn't say the Forever Man, but you need to know that he is the Forever Man.
Okay, well, let's see what I have to say about this thing.
He's the Forever Man, all right?
Okay, forever. Chakan the Forever Man for the Genesis was developed by Extended Play Productions and published by Sega of America. I can see why Joe gave me this game, as he must think only real gamers play hard games. Of course I disagree with this thought, but the truth is that this game is unrelentingly hard, and is hard for many reasons. Firstly, the control is not quite what it should be. Controlling Chakan isn't easy. Mainly, his platforming abilities are substandard. I had an unbelievably hard time trying to platform in this game. There are many platforms that are very difficult to land on, and it gets very frustrating trying to complete a jump only to fall down, down, down to the bottom of the level. This happens way too often, and my platforming skills definitely are not to blame. The controls just feel unresponsive at times, and I feel no confidence when I'm jumping that I'll land on the platform that I'm aiming for. Like right here, I swear to you that I'm pushing right for Chakan to walk, but he doesn't respond. Secondly, you make a lot of blind jumps, and more often than not, you'll take damage for trying. It's not good level design to put hazards and enemies at almost every spot that you need to make a jump. The only way you could possibly be good at this game is with persistence and learning where every hazard is so you can avoid it. Fighting is also hit and miss. There are times when battling enemies that I'm wondering if I've even made a hit. And what's this? Is this a boss? If it is, I can't tell because he looks like a boss to me, but why doesn't he have a life bar? Am I even getting close to defeating this thing? Along the way, you can grab potions that you can mix and match to help you out. Some things will make your weapons more powerful, and others will replenish your health bar, for example. You can also pick up more powerful weapons like this axe. The only problem with the axe is that you can't double jump while wielding this weapon. Luckily, you can switch weapons on the fly, which is nice. I honestly feel that if things were revamped and you could control Chakan with confidence, that this might actually be a really fun game. I do like the level design aside from all the poorly placed hazards. I like the graphics too, as they all have a very dark feel to them, which is very fitting for the game's story. The music, on the other hand, while dark and depressing, is not really enjoyable. The composition is lacking, and I'm just not feeling the mood that it's trying to set. I'm sorry, Chakan, but you are a game that really didn't inspire me to keep playing till the end. With more polished controls, things might have been different.
Mega Man X is the all-new generation of Mega Man for the Super Nintendo. According to the opening text, Mega Man X is so advanced that it can think and feel, unlike the regular old NES Mega Man. I don't know, I thought the regular non-X Mega Man was pretty cool. He seemed to have personality. Anyway, we're really not left with much to go on at the beginning of the game. It puts you straight into the action. Now, it's important to say right off the bat that I've never really been very much into the Mega Man series, and I'm sure that's why Dave is making me review this. But I did love Mega Man 2 because it was so easy that anyone could beat it without any effort, and it also had some really great music. But this, to me, is all new. You're not playing as the original Mega Man, oh no, can't have that. But this new one has some pretty cool new abilities. The first one that you'll notice is that he can jump off of vertical inclines like walls. This is a really fun move to use. You can also dash with a dedicated button. And the best new feature is that your life bar starts out super short, but you can increase the size of your life if you get one of these heart thingies. Damn, can't get it. Maybe if I run ahead of this thing and dash, I can get it. Yep, got it! 2 extra lines of life! Watch out, world, because now I'm unstoppable! As with all Mega Man games, you gain new weapons after defeating bosses, and it's always fun to try and figure out which weapon works against which bosses. Nope. Nope. Nada. Maybe? You can also get new abilities from a Dr. Light hologram that appears sometimes, and they can help you explore the stages more thoroughly. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that Mega Man now has a charge shot as well. Once I figured out that this was there, the game became a bit more easy and a lot more fun. The best part of this game has got to be memorizing the stages. You'll be playing through each one a lot, and it's really fun. Thankfully, you have unlimited continues and a password feature. You can even revisit the stages that you've defeated before. There is quite a bit of slowdown in the game, but honestly, I'm not surprised. The graphics are all very pleasant and at times excellent with their wide use of color. Dave's always been impressed with how crisp and clear this Capcom logo is on my Super Nintendo. So impressed that he actually took the time to write a letter, put it in an envelope, and mail it to EGM to tell him how awesome it was. They published that letter in their June 1994 issue. I got my video cable at Toys R Us, but Dave just couldn't find one for himself. The music is very Capcom sounding. I'm not really a huge fan of the synth wah-wah guitar, but hey, it's their trademark. Still, the music is fine, but it certainly cannot touch Mega Man 2, not even close. Of course, the game itself is a joy to play. It keeps you coming back and trying again and again, even if it is really tough initially. I had only played this game once before when Dave brought it down to my house in the 90s, and I like it a hell of a lot more now than I did back then. This is a great game and the beginning of perhaps a great side franchise? I don't know, because so far, this is the only Mega Man X game I've played. I'd like to play more though. To date, there are 8 games in the Mega Man X series, and you can count me as the newest fan.
Elisia Dragoon was made by Game Arts. The story and animation was done by Gainax. I was happy to see that as I've watched a couple of animes by Gainax. Their biggest hit, of course, is Neon Genesis, but another lesser-known show that they did was Fooly Cooly. It had a very interesting story and a really good soundtrack. Anyways, I should probably talk about Elisia Dragoon now. This is a sturdy platformer with a lot going for it and a few things that didn't really work out as they should have. As you can probably guess, you take the role of Elisia. She's cool because she can shoot lightning out of her fingertips. It's pretty amazing as the lightning she shoots has homing capabilities and will go after anything on the half of the screen that she's facing. I like this as you only need to aim left or right and the lightning will take it from there. The only downfall is that the lightning has a meter that depletes as she shoots. When she's not shooting, it fills up again, and if the meter is full, your blast will hit the entire screen. So not only does she have that awesome ability, but she also has a handful of familiars that will follow her and help her out. You can only have one familiar on screen at a time, but they're really helpful. They help attack enemies and also defend Elisia on her quest to do whatever it is she's trying to accomplish. I probably should have read the instruction manual, but oh well. And of course, these familiars have their own life bars and will die if it empties. It's kind of annoying once you start leveling up your dragon and then it dies. Stupid dragon. The stages are all littered with tons of enemies. Some of them are easy to kill and lots of them will take multiple hits. Almost all of them have projectile attacks that can be really tough to avoid. You might die a lot at the beginning like I did. Once you're able to build up Elisia's hit points and make her attack stronger, the game becomes much easier. You're still going to get hit a lot, but you have a lot more life to keep you going. There's plenty of boss battles in this game and they are fun to fight. Their patterns are pretty easy to figure out, and my only complaint here is that they have no life bar. That's definitely a pet peeve of mine, as I feel all bosses should have a life bar. All in all, this is a fun game with some good level design, pretty graphics, and a soundtrack that is fairly enjoyable. Thanks for the recommendation, Joe.
Magic Sword for the Super Nintendo is another one by Capcom. In this arcadey hack and slash game, you play as some dude who must ascend a tower to save the entire world. You collect keys and other items from treasure chests. The keys unlock doors which often free warriors who will give you a helpful item. If you touch them, they'll actually join you on your quest. There's a lot of different characters with their own abilities, so if you like the one you currently have more than the one standing by the door, you can just jump over them and be on your way. It should also be noted that your secondary character also has their own life bar, so watch out. As you ascend to new floors, you'll encounter new traps and eventually you'll fight a boss. After that, you'll get a new sword, which you'll conveniently drop every time you take a hit, but fortunately you can just pick it right back up. Your secondary character also powers up as well. In addition to all this, you can press the X button for a special attack which squiggles the screen and takes off a chunk of your life bar. Most of the stages are really short, but since almost the entire game takes place inside a single building, I guess I can overlook that. Unfortunately, there's not really a wide variety of stages. In fact, after a while, they kind of start to seem the same. The music doesn't really help either since it repeats so often. Now it's good music for sure, it's just that you'll be hearing it over and over again. The graphics are really nice for the most part. There's certainly nothing tremendously special about them, but they're pleasing. If you like slowdown, and who doesn't, then this is the game for you. No wonder they made what was originally a 2-player arcade game into a single-player version here. Overall, it can be a very repetitive game, but it still retains quite a bit of enjoyment. There are 50 floors from what I hear, and my sorry ass could only get to floor 47. I suck. Honestly, I'd really only recommend it if you can find it for a good price. You can get the arcade version on Capcom Classics Collection 2 for the PS2 and the Xbox, and even the PSP.
Here's Star Control, and I'm fairly certain that Joe chose this game for me to play as I simply raved about the 3DO sequel. Star Control was the first game on the Genesis with 12 mega power! This was huge back in 1991, and even Joe was impressed. Even with the huge cartridge size, the game was limited compared to the PC version. For one, it didn't have the scenario creator that the PC version had. The developers were kind enough, though, to add 15 extra scenarios to play while playing the full game. So I played this as a single-player game and tried my luck at a handful of scenarios with very little positive effect. As you can see, you start off on a field of stars. Depending on the scenario, there are many things you can do. Basically, you're playing a turn-based game that almost feels like chess to me. You mine stars, set up colonies, and fortify all these. If you're playing a scenario with a base, then you can build new ships to make your presence more known and increase your chances of defeating your enemy, their colonies, and their base. A game can take anywhere from a couple of minutes on upwards to a couple of hours if you really wanted to drag it out. At some point, you'll finally get into a battle. Battles are done one ship versus another. Each ship has different strengths and weaknesses. You fly around a screen that zooms in and out based on how close you are to each other. It's actually fairly entertaining for how simple the battles actually are. I lost lots of battles, and you know what? I'm okay with that because I know it wasn't because of my skills. It was because of the controls. It's easy to fly your ship, but aiming at your enemy is very imprecise. I was constantly shooting on both sides of my enemy and rarely straight at him. Still, it's a fun game. There's absolutely minimal audio here. The only time I remember hearing music is when I lost and a big picture of the conquering alien was in my face. I really enjoy this game, but they do say that it's more fun when played in multiplayer. One day, I'll have to play against somebody to see if this is true. Will that be you, Joe?
Probably not.
Oh.
Wow, Dave, a lot of people are going to be disappointed that you were disappointed in Chakan, the Forever Man.
That's all right. You know, again, it's my opinion, and I know all these people will respect that, right?
I'm sure they will.
I doubt they will, and that's fine. If you guys like the game, that's completely fine by me, but...
Well, what about whatever. Star Control? You didn't like that as much as the 3DO version. What the hell's wrong with you?
Of course
not. 12 mega power, dude.
12 mega, the first 12 mega power cartridge on the system. But it's not as, full fleshed out game that was on the 3DO with all the audio and awesome stuff that was on there. Yeah. But it's still fun to have just the battles alone in there, which was
I really
the highlight of it.
Did like Mega Man X, so thanks for
you did.
giving
Good.
me that.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to my review? Did you go to the bathroom while I was doing my review?
I didn't even know you were talking.
Anyway, it's my turn now, and you gave me Rival Turf.
Okay.
Here's Rival Turf for the Super Nintendo by Jalico. Aw man, Dave, why did you give me this one? This must be your sixth sense of humor or something. Weirdo. First off, everyone already knows about the fantastic box of this game. Looks like they took a couple of high school kids and tried to make them look all thuggy. I bet Dave has a 4.5 by 7 foot poster of this hanging up in his bedroom, probably on his ceiling. Anyway, the actual game is a beat 'em up and the characters look nothing like the guys on the box. Thank God. Now, the game isn't without its merits here and there, but it's mostly extremely mediocre, if mediocre could be extreme. You have your standard punch, jump, and special buttons, but I kinda like how the specials are handled in this game. You earn a little icon above your life bar each time you murder an enemy. When you use your special, it uses up some of these icons instead of decreasing your life meter. So instead of penalizing you for using a special like in other games, they simply make you earn it. The more people you murder, the more specials you get. Like I said, I like that. It's just too bad that the specials don't really seem to do that much damage. As with pretty much all beat-em-ups, there isn't a very large variety of enemy characters at all. Fortunately, the stages have a decent amount of variety. And since this is a beat-em-up, there's gotta be an elevator stage. Oh, you don't actually have to worry about fighting on this one? As far as the characters go, I much prefer playing as this Axel-like guy instead of the M. Bison-like guy, as he's slower and has a crappy reach. A couple of his moves are pretty cool though. Some of the artwork looks pretty nice, while other stages look pretty boring. And because this is a Super Nintendo game, a bit of Mode 7 is expected and they used it on the map screen. Yay, Mode 7! The music is mostly boring, but there are one or two tracks that I actually enjoy. It's just too bad that the sound effects make certain instruments cut out a lot. The game plays decently enough, but like I said, it's mediocre. After a few stages it starts to feel extremely repetitive, but I can say the same thing about a lot of beat-em-ups. Maybe Dave thought this one was a Streets of Rage killer and I'd be swayed into becoming a Super Nintendo fanboy. Not gonna happen with this game, Dave, but keep trying. This game is actually the first in the Rushing Beat Trilogy as it's called in Japan. The sequel was released here in the US as Brawl Brothers. This one is also a mediocre beat 'em up. However, this time your special ability does deplete part of your life bar. Also, when you die, you can choose where on the screen your character will regenerate. The graphics and sound have been improved, but it's still an extremely repetitive game. And the sequel to that was called The Peacekeepers. This is definitely the worst of the bunch. The fighting action is kinda slow and really not very exciting. All of the characters are brand new and there's really nothing interesting about any of them. And if you want music to go with your gameplay, you actually have to turn it on in the options screen before you begin. There are some branching paths, which is cool though. The only thing about this game that's similar to the others from what I can tell is the angry mode. When you take too many hits in a row with this turned on, you'll flash and be untouchable for a short time. Please don't make me play these games again, Dave.
Robo Aleste, or Aleste, or whatever, is a shooter on the Sega CD by Compile. It's another great game in the Aleste shooter line that includes Musha and Space Megaforce. This game feels like a spiritual sequel to Musha, as it has many similarities with that game. Released in 1993, Compile made the right choice by bringing this game out on the Sega CD, utilizing the still new technology. I'm happy that Joe chose this game for me to review. As you may or may not know, I really suck at shooters and I die very often. So one really cool feature that I like is Infinite Continues, which is great, but you have to start at the beginning of each level. You won't hear me complain because it's much better than starting from the beginning of the game. Anyways, this one is much harder than Musha. There's lots of enemies on screen pretty much all of the time. Some die with one hit and others take lots of hits before they explode. Luckily, you do get weapon power-ups throughout each level. Some of them are really good, and others you'll always let go by because they're not as good as what you already have. Your ship has a standard weapon that is pretty weak in its basic form. According to the instruction manual, you can increase the firepower by collecting glowing power capsules left behind by groups of friendly power-up craft that appear periodically. You see, I have a slight problem with this because these ships only leave behind a capsule after you blow it up. Something is amiss here, and the poor soldiers who were instructed to bring these capsules to you weren't told that you'd be destroying them. Oh well. Each stage is just loaded with color and great looking backgrounds. All the enemy sprites look really nice and your ship looks good, but I think it's a tad too big. This only concerns me because a bigger ship is a bigger target, which makes dodging bullets that much harder. It's all forgiven though, as the fun factor is way up there and controlling your ship is perfect. As with the other games in the Aleste series, this game has an amazing soundtrack. It takes full advantage of the CD audio and pumps out some of the finest music you'll hear on the system. Such a great game, and it truly makes me sad that I am so horrible at playing this genre.
Faceball 2000 on a Super Nintendo from Bulletproof Software. This amazing first-person shooter will destroy all your perceptions of reality. It was originally called Midi Maze on the Atari ST, where it also blew people's minds. Faceball 2000 is so good that it doesn't even need a wimpy Super FX chip for its 3D effects. Instead, it relies on the massive power of the Super Nintendo CPU to generate all of its polygons in real time. Power Plus. This phenomenal game pits you against other smiley faces in a maze beyond human comprehension. You must shoot and destroy the other faces, but watch out, they respawn. Once your tags are down to 0, you unlock the exit to the next exciting level. Your shots are so powerful that they obstruct your view and fly even faster than a weakly thrown dodgeball. But your opponents are crafty and they'll do everything in their power to avoid your shots. They better be quick because they only have 10 seconds after you fire your projectile to move out of the way. So go kiss your own ass, SR-71 Blackbird. There's a new king of speed in town and his name is the projectiles fired in Faceball 2000. But wait, there's more! Faceball 2000 takes place in several exotic locations. You'll play on Mars and the Asteroid Zone, in Seattle, even Vancouver.
Holy hell, is this a video game or am I really there?
The controls are the best ever in any game. If you think they're slow and unresponsive, then you're on drugs. The intense action and graphics take up nearly a quarter of the screen with multiple frames per second. The exciting music was composed by a real live monkey. So get ready to have the time of your life with Faceball 2000. Doom ain't got nothing on this. And screw you, Titanfall, Faceball is where it's at. Seriously though, this game is ass. I'm pretty sure Dave gave it to me just to make me suffer. Why, Dave? Why?
Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
Here's Kid Chameleon, which comes to you as an action platformer. So as I booted up this game and started playing, hitting blocks and jumping on enemies' heads, all I could think of is that this is some sort of Mario ripoff. I mean, you gotta feel that this play mechanic is lifted straight from the Mario series. But as I kept playing the game, I started feeling like it was something much more than just a regular side-scrolling game. In actuality, this game is quite different and stands out on its own in a very good way. As you make your way through the levels, you'll uncover and wear different helmets or masks that'll give you different abilities. Each mask is very unique, and I really enjoyed using each one as it's placed exactly where you need it. One mask will make you heavy to crush blocks and climb walls. The Splatterhouse mask will let you throw axes, and another one will let you turn into a little fly. And yes, I know it's supposed to be a Jason Voorhees mask, but I like Splatterhouse much more. Along with the different abilities, most of the masks have different amounts of life, from 3 to 5 or even 6 life balls. I'm not sure why each mask just doesn't have the same amount of life, but there it is. If your mask runs out of life, you turn back into Kid Chameleon, and you know what, he is way cool. Or maybe not. If you collect the same mask that you're already wearing, it will refill your balls of life. The levels are all very pretty to look at, with lots of nice graphics, and they're laid out really well. I really never felt that any of them were overused. Maybe in later levels they might, as I only had time to play through about 18 of the 103 possible levels in the game. 103 is a lot, but you can make it through in about 50 levels or so if you don't go through any of the side stages. But even that is going to take some time because you'll have to do it all in one sitting as there is no password or save feature at all. I was really surprised by this, as a game of this size really needs one of these features. Another feature that is missing is boss battles. There is a serious lack of them, and I've got to say I'm a little ticked off by this. This is the perfect game for some awesome boss fights, and with all the different abilities it would be really cool. Instead, you just finish the majority of the levels by reaching a flag at the end. Controlling your character is almost perfect. I had very little problems performing any of the moves once I figured out each mask's ability. The only downfall in the game is in the audio department. The music is fairly lacking and just doesn't inspire anything. It's just there. All in all, this is a really fun game, and when I have the time to sit down with it, I will play it through to the end.
Here's Kirby Superstar for the surprise, surprise Super Nintendo. The cartridge advertises this as 8 games in one, and it's kind of true. There are different selectable games here, and they all have a slightly different feel and presentation, but it all really boils right down to it being a side-scrolling platformer. Most of the games have pretty much the exact same gameplay. You control Kirby, who can float indefinitely with a jump button and also suck in enemies, but you don't swallow. Well, that is unless you press the A button. Once you swallow an enemy, you usually gain a very similar ability, and this of course is the appeal of Kirby games. It's really quite fun, and I'm always eager to find new enemies I can suck and swallow. It kind of reminds me of Kid Chameleon with the different helmets. Well, Dave just reviewed that, so I guess it's only fair that he gave me a Kirby game. Anyway, once you gain a new ability, you can use it an unlimited amount of times as long as Kirby is wearing some sort of head decoration. Some powers can only be used once or twice, and not all swallowed enemies will grant an extra power, but they still feel really good going through Kirby's digestive tract. The game controls well and everything moves pretty fast. The cartridge has an SA1 chip to help things out because there's no way the Super Nintendo could do all this on its own. Basically, the SA1 triples the processing speed, and it shows because the gameplay is generally pretty zippy. The graphics are all generally very colorful, and the artwork is really nice. Kirby and the enemies all have a lot of character. Most of the stages are very well designed with lots of hidden items and even some hidden rooms. The music is good and it really fits the game, but I'd never want to listen to it on its own. It just doesn't stick with you, or at least it didn't with me. I like some of the sound effects, like when you attack enemies while wearing certain hats. Very satisfying. I still don't know why they felt the need to break it up into smaller, seemingly individual games. I guess it's a new approach, but I don't really think that the game benefited from it. It's certainly not a drawback, it just doesn't really add to the appeal. I got bored with a couple of the minigames fairly quickly, but they'll do for a diversion if you need one. Don't let the graphics and the music fool you, it's not as easy as it looks. Well, at first it is really easy, but it can get fairly challenging later on. I really like this game, and you should try it out if you can.
All right, Joe. Now that the episode is coming to a close, we've each played our 5 respective games from each system.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, do you feel Nintendo is a little bit a better company in your mind, or?
Well, maybe not Nintendo, maybe the companies that made games for them, because we started with Mega Man X.
Yes.
Great game.
Very good game.
Never got into that before. Totally want to play it now. Want to see what the rest of the series is about.
All
and
right.
Stuff like that.
Good. Very good.
Kirby Superstar, very fun, very energetic.
Yeah.
Magic Sword, not bad either.
No, that's not a bad.
But then you had to go and throw in Faceball 2000 and Rival Turf.
I know.
So you bring me in and then you push me right back out.
I just didn't want you to leave Sega fully just based on 5 awesome Nintendo games.
Yeah. So how about you? Are you gonna come over to the Sega side completely and sell all your Nintendo stuff?
No, that's definitely not happening. But I did have fun with a lot of the games that I played in this. Elisia Dragoon, I really had a good time with. Star Control was awesome, of course. I mean, a little limited, but it was still very fun. And Kid Chameleon was just great. Really
Amazing.
fun game. Chakan, though, that didn't do it for me. A lot of people are going to hate, but I'm sorry. It just didn't do it for me.
He is the forever man.
Yeah.
You just got to realize that.
And I'm forever going to hear about how I, didn't give him a 10 out of 10 or something.
Anyway, what games do you think we should give each other next time we do this?
Yeah, maybe an 8-bit.
Yeah, 8-bit,
challenge or
32-bit.
something? Yeah.
It could be mixed.
Yeah, it would have to, because Nintendo doesn't really have a 32-bit system. So
True. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you for watching GameSack. Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy.
That's 32-bit.
It is, but we're not counting.
Hey,
What are you?
I'm the Forever Man.
Don't turn me into a crappy game, man.
I'm not going to turn you into a crappy game.
What?
I want you to tell all your friends about me. I want all your fans to play me and see how great I am. See that I'm just as good as all the other games.
That's kind of a tall order, man.
See that I'm the Forever Man.
Hey, do you listen to Iron Maiden, man?
What?
Yeah, you look just like their mascot, Eddie.
Get out of here. Dad, I can be a Forever Man without your help now. Son, you better get your forever ass back to the forever house and mow that forever lawn. It sure is tough being a Forever Man.